Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony Carcamo, President of Civil CAD Learning Solutions and also President of the DFWBIUG Infrastructure User Group. And today we're going to go over AutoCAD electrical best practices. Our guest speaker is Mark. So Mark, if you'd like to take it away.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I have been working with AutoCAD for approximately 40 years. I've got 15 years in AutoCAD electrical and have seen pretty much everything from the worst to the best practices. What I'm going to try to do is to stick to AutoCAD electrical as a base. Some of the things that I suggest can be used in vanilla AutoCAD as well. However, AutoCAD electrical is a very different animal from standard AutoCAD in the fact that when you look at the database, an electrical component has much more complexity than a standard block. It's got the electrical values tied to it. It's got connectivity. It's got, for example, a relay can have 4 sets of normally open contacts by part number in its database. If you go over it, you will get an error. A standard block will not have that level of detail. Now, electrical requires a database that is correct and accurate. The issue that happens is when you work within normal AutoCAD and attempt to modify a block that's been done on AutoCAD electrical. When you break that intelligence, you remove functionality, for example, from device 1 to device 2. Now, if I were to go to this sheet here,
You want to share your screen?
yes, screen 1, yes. Okay, can you see there we go. Now, my sheet shown has got 2 cards on it, an input card and an output card.
Oh, it hasn't come up yet. Just a second. Yeah, try to share your screen again. And
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the issue that will happen, for example, if I were to say I want to delete this component from this sheet, how many ways can I do that? Everyone here probably knows the erase command right from my home tab. You will not see me work from home tab if I can help it. The issue becomes that something erased, quote unquote, as in the home tab, will not be removed from the database. So the first rule of thumb is never go to your home tab. Always work from schematic. Now, that point being made, what's going to happen when I'm on this sheet working on my schematics and I come down here to sheet X1? Let's take a look at my mechanical. How do I get back here to do my dimensions? How do I get back here to do anything mechanical or non-electrical? Let's just pretend you don't see my dimensioning toolbar, my reference toolbar, or my tool palettes to the right. Without any of that, I have to come back here to home every time. The point here is that while I'm working in schematic, I need half a dozen commands from the home tab, from the modify and the insert, etc. You will see I have included the dimension, my text, and a few of my other commands in here for these toolbars to be permanently kept on my home or on my window. Excuse me. the idea here is I do not have to leave schematic to come up here and throw a dimension on this particular sheet. I have no, if I'm doing this now, so I said, well, I want to erase this because it's extra. I don't need it. Or move this, and okay, it's done. Now, if I do an erase for that, I can get away with that because there's no database information tied to that. But if I'm back on this sheet here, thank you. This device, you will see all this information. I've got a tag assigned by line and reference number, all sorts of other information. It's showing me all this catalog information. I take this device, I can also very easily erase it. Now, you'll notice the first thing that happened when I crossed it. Last time I picked the device, which was just a dumb fan drawing, and I didn't get this dialog box. That is because this component has intelligent data in it that if I just erase it, it will now be left in the database. Therefore, AutoCAD Electrical is telling me, don't do this. Clean out this device, remove it properly. Now, if you were, I can, however, you will notice, do something like this. I can come in and I can do an erase and just pick this device. We'll come down here and we'll pick this. Okay, what did I just do? Well, right now, that light is still in the database, and its values are still in the database, and its connections. That's something that will corrupt your database. When I go to do a report on this sheet, I'm going to run into issues. The only way to safely to get a component from here is to delete the component. Now, you will notice it takes a little bit longer, but I did not have an error come up. I did not have an issue with having a potential for this component not be in my database. Now, if I come up here and I go to, I need to do a report. Excuse me for a second. Let's do a report for the active drawing. Let's do schematic.
So, quick question while you're doing that. So, where,
Yes,
as a beginner, where's your database stored? Is it cached into the drawing, or is it actually a specific file on the folder?
there is a standard database that AutoCAD provides on the home drive. Each project creates its own database per project with only the devices shown within the schematic.
Okay.
This is why it's important to not just erase things. Now, for example, if I come in here, looking at my database or looking at my report from my database, you will see all these tags showing. Now, these devices all have intelligent data. All of this information is contained within that database. If I had not intelligently applied component data to these devices, I'd be having issues. You will notice with this device also, I have multiple part numbers. I have one key component. I am supporting it with additional Allen Bradley components tied to it. This is the other reason it's important not to simply erase a component, because your subcomponent counts will also go out of true. Now, with this information, what's going to happen is you're going to end up being able to generate a report based upon several components. For example, we can go from installation codes or location codes. We've got enclosure locations and low voltage locations within this project. Let me do all for this for a second. Excuse me, this will take a moment. Maybe. The idea is basically that what we are doing is we are searching for components which I've specified are in one place. Now, when I put this bill of materials together, what's going to happen is I will be able to break down by location what schematic devices I have gotten here, which breaks down into what I have for a panel location by device. Now I can take and do all my ID tags down through here. I can, and you'll notice I don't have a lot of descriptions under some of these. The websites don't provide a lot of good information at times to our database. However, if you see some of these have full detail, they have been supplied by a vendor. Now, that vendor has not given full detail for the rest of these components above. The issue becomes, again, when you just erase a component, you don't take it out of this database and you're going to get invalid data because you're going to see that tag still remains in the actual drawing set, which will throw this off, which will mean when I export this data out to purchasing, I'm going to create some problems. I'm either short a part or extra parts, or I have other issues. Now, that being said, I can erase that data bit, that report, and it's not going to hurt anything. When I get to this device, let me okay, this is SR2. Now, why did it go to SR2? SR1 is already in my database. You will see that it exists. Let me show you one other thing. Now, you see connections between these devices. They are wires. They are not lines. Do not assume they are the same, because if you do, you will create issues. Now, if you were to look at my layer properties, you don't see all of my wire layers. Now, let me open up. Okay.
Does the software tell you if you deleted something, but your data, it's still in your database? Will it warn you or tell you?
No, therein lies my issue. Okay. For one, I'm a newbie. I don't know that erasing a component will take it out of my database. It does not work that way. Now, what I have just done is I want to put wires in here, but you see I only have blue 16 AWG, for example. Let's do this. This block, when put into a drawing, brings in every standard wire layer I have and my dimension styles. Now, if I, for example, want to create a particular wire type, you see all these new wire types that came in because this block captures all of those layers. If I go to AWG, this is the format that Autodesk has used forever with this. Now, if I were to, let's just say, want to go from, and I should have this as blue-white. And I should have these as blue, white. You will see that by having it predefined, we can pick and change them. Otherwise, I will have to add all these manually. This block contains probably 35 line types and a dimension style. Now, the reason I mentioned the dimension style is because if I'm in this drawing, I don't know who worked on this. I don't know how they did a dimension on it. Let me just throw that. That's not what I want to see. That's wrong. I used metric and I use two-place decimal. So by having my RV standard, which is preset all these things, I have to come in here. You'll notice it did not change it automatically. People assume that by having it in the list, you can automatically do so. It will not work. I go to set current, and I must do this. This is a step people miss when they're working with it. Now, let's just say, for example, I've got 10 dimensions here, and I don't want to have to redo them all. I can simply come up here, do a dimension update, and it comes back. Now this, if you do not know who did the drawing before you did this and worked on it, what style they have does not matter. That style is locked into this block and it comes in with everything I do. Have this in your template sheet for your AutoCAD electrical, and it will go smoothly every time. You can always take this, activate it, and apply it to every dimension in the sheet. Now, to wire between these two components, okay, there's several ways we can do this. There's the easiest way, which is simply interconnecting these two components. Now, why did you not do that, you slime? Okay. You should have, okay, I see why. It's because it's out of my, I'm sorry, which brings up a good point. Okay, do I just move things or do I scoot? Now, if I were to, let's just say, want to get rid of these wires. If I were to do a trim wire, I want to connect these devices to this device. I can sit here and I can do trim wire, trim wire, trim wire all day. Best bet, go with.
So are these wires an actual object, smart object, or is it a polyline?
No, it's a smart object. It's a smart connection from point to point.
Okay.
Now, this is why it's important to do it this way. Now, if I were to say I want to put a series of wires coming off of this component, I could sit here and do wire, 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 or I can come in here and you'll notice what's happening. I'm breaking at the existing wire because it says it's aware that there's no physical contact point. And let's just say we've got these wires in here and we want to put a push button. Why are you? Okay, I'm sorry. Let's pick. Now what's going to happen? You're going to get this prompt every single time. It's going to pick up on 402, which is this line reference. It's going to be PB1. Now I got to pick that one, and I say, okay, repeat. I'd be here forever. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do something that's a little bit different. Multiple insert. Let's pick the same button. Notice that it saved it. Don't always dig through your menus. You're going to take forever and you don't need it. But I can go from here to here, and this is what you're going to get. You're going to get this one time only. You can say keep all and unselect this. Otherwise, this stupid dialog box comes up every single time. Now, with these devices, you will notice everyone has got its correct identification. It's got its reference, and it was automatic. Now, the other thing that is very helpful that people don't generally think about when they're doing wire numbers. Let's just put wire numbers for all of these. How do I do that? Crossing, pick, other. Now I can walk away and this is done. But let's do something here. I got sheet H4. Hopefully I'm not boring you guys with this. I'm sorry if I'm not good at this yet, but
no, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had a question earlier. I noticed I was muted. So what is the difference between the move and the scoot? Why would you want to do the scoot besides the move?
Scoot will take, for example, multiple devices. Let me ask you to move this wire and this light. If I were to my wire number, you'll notice I can scoot anywhere I need to. Okay. Now, that being said, that wire number is tied to that wire. If I remove that wire intelligence from that wire number, that number goes blank. That number is a floater. It does not apply. If I were to scoot this wire, you will see anything attached to it follows it. Therefore, I do not break my connectivity.
Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I'm sorry. I'm not very good at explaining things here.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. So,
but you notice one thing. It said, okay, said you want to retag. Automatically, it's doing what it should be doing. Now, I can always, if I have gone to home and selected move, I can do that. And if I move component, I can do the same thing. But you will notice also that I took it out of that circuit. I've moved it up here. I've identified it as a new device. Do you see the difference between moving a component and scooting the wire to which it's connected?
Yeah.
Now, let's just say we've got sheet H4 and we want to copy this to a new sheet. We need to make another one. The solution here is go through this interface, copying it to, and we're going to go to H14. Yes, we always want to apply the project defaults.
And I noticed your numbering is by twos, and those push buttons, or
Yeah.
is
You
there
say
like an industry standard where you're doing it by two, or is there a particular reason?
the 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 button device
Yeah,
IDs.
right there. Yeah.
That's the line number.
Okay.
That's H402 is the line number. That is
Okay.
the tag of the device. That's how that's set up. Now, the one thing that you're going to, if in dumb AutoCAD, vanilla AutoCAD, I'm sorry, if you copy something and you copy it to a new sheet, you have to do a lot of redefining and manual changes and so forth. Here, you will notice that I have one place to change this, which is H14. That's a manual change, and it's done. Let's go to H14. What do you think is going to happen to H04 here when I go to H14? What do you think the changes are going to be? Or is it going to be the same and I have to do it manually? It's by virtue of having everything done here with project defaults and with a feature that is very important here, that being, okay, where am I? Excuse me for a minute. This takes a second to find. Let's do, if we go to title block setup, or if we go come in here and we do, I want to do it. I want to do an update. Update retag. I'm sorry. If I do a component retag and I come in here, you're going to notice something. None of my components redid any of the definitions before I changed this. We're still at H04, and all my wire numbers are still weird. They're not the way they're supposed to be. But if I come in here, process, okay, it'll take a second. And it's thinking. This is the one part that takes a few minutes because it's checking every single drawing. And what's going to happen is it's going to verify against this database written out per project, not from AutoCAD proper, off of the home installation, the values of these devices. Now, that being said, we had an issue come up last week with a gentleman whose project database got corrupted. And yeah, by the way, that is a local to that project only database. He could not connect and therefore his project failed. If that ever does happen, there is a unique project database per project definition that can be deleted, and it will rebuild this database automatically every time you go to make it work. So in other words, I shut AutoCAD down, I start back up, it recreates and refreshes that database. Now what's going to happen here, you'll notice all my devices have redefined. Wire numbers are all still wrong. Now, the easiest way to look at that and say, okay, well, I have to manually change each wire number and I have to do something along those lines. No, I don't. I can go to wire numbers. Come on. Why are you doing this? Okay, I want to pick. Now, before I actually click on this, what do you think is going to happen with all these H4 series wires? Am I going to get duplication? Am I going to get an error? it'll automatically take an existing wire number, which is incorrect for the new sheet, and it will apply it automatic. It'll just normally just go right ahead and do that.
So did it renumber? Okay.
But the point here basically is, if I, for example, let's put a horizontal of 3 wires. One of the things you'll notice that I tend to be working from snap, always work from snap with this, because if you don't, then your devices are going to be varying between this point and this point. If you're too high or too low, it's going to look right, but you put a wire in, your wire referencing will not match your device. I have 1-inch centers on my devices. I have that for a reason, so I have access to work. Now let's just say, however, one of the things that you'll notice here is I have line reference and not sequential. If I do this, and if I say let's start at 10, this is my net result. I have 10, 11, and 12, yet my H14 is still there because of the way I've got this information set up. When I set this sheet up, I have
So it recognizes the sheet you're on. That's why it's putting the
yes,
H14.
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that. You'll notice on here I've got sheet and number for my wire number format. Now, I could set it up any way I want to. This one's been set to default to start with 1.
What would happen if you rename the CAD file, like the sheet H14 to 24? What would happen to this drawing? Will it update the wire numbers?
No, it will not. Let's go make this 24.
Or you need to go run the routine and say update wire.
Well, yeah. Well, what's going to happen? I'll say I'm in 14, so let's just do that to H4. Let's go to H24. Why did you fail? Because I've got it open.
Yeah, I got that one open. Maybe
yeah. Let's close you.
HO2. No, you got HO2 open too.
Yes, that's okay. So we're going to go
03. No.
Yeah. One of the things that can happen in a project, which that dialog box comes up with, I can replace existing data for this drawing and this whole set with a new one based upon another location. Let me okay. This is the other thing that you're going to get. Now, that's happened because the file name is the same within that project already. Unfortunately, you're not going to get any updates. So to do it for the updates here, you're going to have to go through and you're going to have to do the updates manually, and you're going to have to do component, cross-reference, wire tag, ladder references. And this is, you will notice, however, it changed it here. So the point I'm making here is that AutoCAD Electrical will get you thinking we've got, oh, it's all automated. All I do is click on this one option to make a change, and it goes and it runs and it works. It does not. AutoCAD will get you to a point within the process and it will stop, but it won't tell you that I'm not going to update every single process and every single step throughout the complete project to fully refresh the database, fully refresh the drawings, make everything correct, and get everything working. Now, when making this kind of a change, it will go through all of the sheets. So what happened here? It did not see my sheet. So let me no, why did you do
That's
that?
why it was just a one, I guess. There was no.
Yep, that's exactly why. That's another thing that people will assume. You'll notice that I had to go back and it does not automatically play well with all of these features. Some of them will get you halfway through and they stop. And they won't tell you, we're only going to do certain things here. And there are certain things that will not be noticed as you're working. Now,
It's kind of like the sheet set manager there, that tool you were just at. A little bit, but just more advanced.
Yes, that's, excuse me, that's extremely true. Now, the thing that I have found that you will see various levels of completion for that update, depending upon the component you're working with and the task at hand. There are many times that the component you're working with will not automatically process source and destination by itself. Source arrows being, for example, let's go to sheet H3. Now, I want to put wires coming off of this output module. What's my best method? Obviously, it's going to be multiple bus and component. Again, I can go through here and it's defaulting to blue, which is fine, which I had for the last wire color. I have found an issue within AutoCAD Electrical, which Autodesk has yet to be able to answer for me.
It seems a little slow for some of the tasks it's trying to produce.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of odd.
Yes, that's just the way the program runs. Now, you'll see that my layer never changed up here from layer 0. There are times that I'll be working in a drawing and I don't know who has worked upon this drawing, but it'll automatically assume I want to change the wire type layer to my current layer definition, which in other words, it would change to blue 16 AWG, which would give me errors. Now let's just go with let's not go that way yet. We're going to, okay, we're going to do this first. Sorry, we're going to, yes, we are. That's me. Okay, so we're here. It says correct. Let me do something. I'm sorry, I was in the wrong point. Why are you not letting me do this?
It's not letting you do a window or something? Or
That's okay. The forward facing window does not work. You cannot do a forward window. You have to do a crossing window. But as you can see, what it did is I told it to change it to blue-white. Every wire changed. Now, with that done, lets me put a color gauge label in there. It's automatically selected the proper color of my wire. Now, my question to those who use this software, do you need every single wire identified properly? And that last circular change of pick the wire type, select all the wires and change it for functional connectivity? No, you don't. What you can do if you have a generic connection for, let's just say, your like your standard power wire. What you're going to find is that you can pick any particular color and it'll work. Now, these being blue don't bother me. That matters not to me. The point here is this is just a reference connection. What's going to come out as important here is if I were to come in here and do manual buttons and so forth, I could come in and do all these buttons. Just put one. You can see from this example how long this would take versus the multiple insert. So we're going to go back and do a multiple insert. And this time we're putting in selector switches. So you see, it's not always that slow. What's happening is it's processing certain bits of data for certain aspects of the particular device. Now, if I, for example,
I wonder if it's because when you're inserting the component, but then you're also updating the database at the same time.
Yeah, that's part of what it is. Now, wire color changes don't necessarily affect things near as much as putting components in. Let's just do we come in here. Now, to get from, let's just say this component, let me get another one floating here. What's going to happen is if I want to, if for example, I realize these are both outputs and I shouldn't be doing it this way. I should be doing in to out, but that's fine. What I'm getting to here is this. When I go to connect from here to here, first thing I'm going to do with this come on, be nice.
So it's important the direction you're drawing the wires then?
It's important to know exactly. All right, you're going to play, fine. It's important to have wires in place before you connect directions in. In other words, if you were to say you want to go from this wire to this wire, I can put a source arrow there, and we're going to call this X1. Let's just say I don't put a destination in for now. Notice the question marks. Why the question marks? Anybody got a guess?
Because it doesn't know what to connect to, I guess, the component, or?
Well, wire numbers are missing.
Oh, okay.
This is the one point that a lot of people doing this don't get. Okay. Now, if I were to I could sit here and do this all day long. Or if in this case with a source destination arrow, there's a difference. You'll notice this one has got dual question marks. If I look at this, the triple question marks are my wire number, not my reference. The double question mark is my reference. Now, what's happening here is this. I have no wire numbers. Let me
Does it see, will it provide you a list of all the wires that doesn't have numbers, like in a kind of a dynamic table? Then you can do it within a dialog box.
Yep, you can do a report. We can do wire labels. We can do missing components. We can do to from. Let's do wire labels. Active drawing all. Okay. These are the only active wire numbers here. You will see that there are some where there's a lot more wires on this sheet.
I thought it'd be cool to have I don't know if there is one, but some kind of analysis tool it'll list the wires that doesn't have numbers in a little box. And when you click on it, on one of the wires in the box, it will highlight the actual wire in your plan and say, okay, you need to assign one to this. And you're just kind of going through.
Well, I understand where you're coming from. You can do electrical audits and base your electrical audit, which is up here, on your certain properties. For example, let's do a from to.
And my next question is, I guess, just thinking outside the box, when you finish the design, does it have an analysis tool we'll look at?
Yep.
If you meet the fire code 2018 fire code?
That, oh, okay. I'm sorry. You mean
or international
a regional code type
or
thing.
Regional code. Okay. Yeah.
That is set up with, in its own way, the symbology library that you use. Okay. Is going to trust the fact that you know what your fire code would be, for example, or your other local enforcement codes are.
So is the local, I guess, is the fire code just the standard, but then you got the regional top, the regional will trump the fire code, the international fire code?
Well, there's standard libraries that apply to things. There's the NFPA, there's IEC, JIC. That is what drives the standard symbology values. Your local use of that code, or your local use of that that information is up to you to handle. You as a designer must work with that. There are a lot of things with AutoCAD electrical that are not as strong as you would like it to be. But you're seeing that as well as I had. But for example, your question about wire numbers, do you see anything missing in the top half of this chart?
Yeah, all your wire numbers are missing for those units. Yeah. So
This is one of the best reports we can get, because what it does is tells me what goes where, what pin connects, and what my errors are.
So what'd be really cool is if you clicked on one of those cells, and it
Mhm.
would highlight the wire in the plan where it is.
This is a dumb project. This is a dumb report.
Yeah,
It does not do it. It does
wouldn't that
not
be cool
do that.
though?
It'd be a great feature. Now, my question to you: what happens if I edit this component?
I think that will update, but I don't think the table will update, because you probably have to recreate it or hit a push
That
button.
is right. You've got to rerun the report. It's a static value.
Yeah.
Now, we started here, but we didn't finish.
Mhm.
We need to let's go to put a destination in here. I'm not going to fill the code in, and I've got 60 or 70 project or 60 or 70 codes down here. Let's look at recent. It does update here. You will see it went to and from. Now, what happens if I change this wire number? That becomes my question. You will notice something happen. I went from variable to fixed. Let me cancel out of that and show you once more. I have a variable wire number, which is green. It must be variable to put a source arrow on. Anytime this source arrow comes in, it has got to have a variable wire number, because if I fix it, it will not function well. But one of the tricks that I've often used, I'm going to do this the old school way. Now, do you see why I don't use the project search? I've got probably 100 of them in there. What we're going to do is we're coming here. If I go to the drawing, it's a lot cleaner. The beauty to this is to show unpaired. You'll see these two destinations are floating. My source is here. That's how that works. Now, what happens if you tell me that this switch is not where I'm connecting to this other input? It is down here. Now, I'm going to move my component to a new wire.
You're doing the move because you don't want it to scoot. The scoot will bring the wires with it, right?
Yes, sir. Again, this is kind of what. Now, this goes to H352. Notice that this didn't update. And if I do a surfer, it's going to show me exactly everything, exact source and destination. People get burnt here because they use the same source code and have 15 destinations. That is a failure that happens all the time. Notice that I had to manually update this one. Now I can go through, I can move all these, readdress these, do one at a time here, or if I'm smart, I'm going to do a drawing wide update after I have all of these done, and it will do them all at one time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can do 5 steps, either this wire, this wire, this wire, this, or I can do it at the very end and I'm done. So let's just say we have to add, come on, thank you very much. We're a pilot light in here.
Seems
What's
like
gonna
you do a pretty good job creating tables for quantities and summaries, but is it calculating the length of wire too?
It is not calculating the length of wire. No, it does not. That I have ever found. Now, if I put this wire, this light in here, what's going to happen to my wire numbers? Absolutely nothing is my answer, because I don't have wire numbers here. You see what I'm saying? These are the wires.
Oh, because you get the wire numbers on the other side of that component, not on the left side.
So we're just going to do this the right way. And so that I can make the point without looking like a complete fool here, we're going to do it this way. We're going to put in, and remembering that I had that red light there, I don't have to chase through all these menus. I put it right here. It automatically updates the wire number following. I want 1, 2. Now, the other issue that people are going to have is, well, I don't like having my wire numbers all over the page here, left and right. How am I going to fix that? Well, you can either pick it and you can go this way and scoot all day long, or we can do an align. Sound tight.
Oh, thank you. Excuse me.
That's fine. No,
I guess I'm puzzled because, you know, on the engineering side, we do so much of, well, I know the project I work on, so much construction cost estimating to the developers, but I know these are schematics, but it is a lot of wiring. And how do you quantify the number of wiring you're doing for a building and panels and stuff you got to buy?
That has been a question for a very long time. And you can literally take and use, you can go into electromechanical, and you can set up with a project in Inventor, which will give you the option to do a full 3D of every component and show you preferred wire routings. It is not within electrical proper. It's more or less, that's a communication task, not built into electrical itself.
I figured we'd have an attribute built in on the wires where you can just plug a number. It's just there for quantities later on. You say, hey, this is 200 feet of wiring. And
well, now Sid, they do not have that for wires. However, when you work with cables, we do have that. We can come in here. We can do a lookup.
Okay, now I'm a little confused. It must be a dumb question now. Well, what's the difference between the wire and the cable then?
The cable is a multi-conductor.
Okay.
Wire is a single conductor.
Okay.
But what can be done here, if this is a purchase cable, let's say 10 meters, I will assign all my item numbers, etc. And the issue becomes I can assign a single count per physical cable that's bundled in my hand. I do not have a good way, let's just say, of calculating physical wire lengths without having a physical layout to work from. And you will notice that all of these wire colors or cable colors, oh, what happened there? Oh, sorry. Why is it not doing that? It was smart enough to know that that cable ended with these four colors, these four conductors. That's why it's so important. For example, if I decided I don't need this all of a sudden, I have to do a delete component. Because what's going to happen, you'll notice, oh, why do I have all these left? I don't have a home for them anymore. And what would you have thought would have happened if had I removed that key cable identifier? It would have gone through and cleaned all of these up as well, right? That would have been your logical assumption. Wrong answer. It does it this way. So I have to do this. There are a lot of things in electrical that are halfway done that do not play well.
It seems like the functionality and just the process is completely different than you're just in other, the way you do it. And, if we're doing floor planning, electrical layouts or something completely different. The workflow, the procedures.
Yes. Now you'll notice one thing. All these wire numbers that I had aligned here, AutoCAD Electrical has said, okay, I'm going back to the midpoint of my wire. It does that for you, which is why when people work from this system, work with this system, they will typically trim these things out, realign, realign, realign. And you can do that forever. Again, constant multiplication of tasks is a waste of time. The best thing you can do it one time. But now what happens if I want to duplicate that wire number back here? I can do that. Now, what's the difference here between these two? This is a copy of a wire number, not a wire number. Let's just say I want to hide this wire.
That's why it's white, not green?
Yes, sir. Now, one thing that can be done, I don't know how you guys use your software and how it's set up, but we will go to attributes. And let's just say hide the open closed feature here. Now that worked pretty well, didn't it? Clean. What if I want to get rid of this because I don't want it there? What's going to happen here? What do you see that I'm missing? I have nothing to treat that as an attribute and hide it.
Yeah, there's no attribute tool, edit tool.
There is none here. Show me. I can't.
Yeah, there's none. Yeah.
Right. But there's a trick. People doing AutoCAD Electrical have learned it doesn't matter where I pick that attribute hide feature. I can go anywhere and I can select it, or you can type AE at hide. And if you want to type it, personally, I'm not a typist. I hate that.
It seems like when you do that, when you're hiding a small attribute within that block, and then you're selecting something else, are they grouping it together?
No,
No,
it's not doing that. But what it's doing is they did not put the attribute option, the edit attribute option for the wire number in with the wire.
Okay, so if you let's say you went back and unhide on that SS1 that you hid, will the text come back with it also?
Now, if I come in here, I go to list edit. I will see every attribute here. I can edit them.
Which one was it that you
OX, open closed.
Okay, open close, yeah.
But you can see it came right back on 102. Let's
But
come
did
up
the
here.
text come back with it too?
OX.
Yeah.
Let's go here.
Yeah, go OS that one and see if the text of the pipe number will come back. No, so
The
not.
wire number will not. No, it is
Okay.
different altogether. Now, there's issues with wires. They are treated very differently than components. A wire, if I were to come in here, and let's just say I want to
Seems like
edit
a
the
good
wire.
CAD tip.
What's that?
Seems like a
With
good
the-
CAD tip since the wire number doesn't have the attribute. That'd be a good one to.
I know that's one of the things that, see, this is the kind of thing I don't know if telling people this would put them to sleep or show some interest in it. But okay, let's just say I want to edit that wire number. I don't think it has one. Oh, yes, it does. Now, if I come here, it automatically fixes it because I've come in and manually changed it. AutoCAD assumes I want to hardwire that wire number in.
Okay.
What's gonna happen if I take this wire number, edit wire number, now there's a fixed wire. You will see that it changed it.
Yeah, and it changed that white.
Now, what's going to happen? I go put a desk source arrow in. You should have not let me do that because it's a fixed wire number, you slimy thing. It's just not supposed to do that. What should happen is I should get an error. Now, if let's keep that there. We're going to take, I need to copy this code. No wire number, but we're going to leave it fixed and say, okay, we're going to put, come on. We can still do it the old manual way, as we just did with. Now, if I wanted to take all these, let's just take, if I'm running over people's time, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're over an hour.
I'm sorry. I mean, didn't mean to take your time.
Yeah, if you want to show one more tip.
Yeah. If I want to take these attributes and move them from the perimeter of this module, I have options you will notice down below. I can do it that way. Now these attributes are still tied here.
Yeah.
That's how that's basically, and I see if I had simply done this, I could, that's what people will generally do. And that's a failure because you risk disassociating this attribute with this connection point. It creates a major problem as far as creating this report here and what goes where. You will get what's called a floater, and it does not connect. But in a nutshell, that's some of the things that electrical can do and some of the good or bad about it.
Yeah.
I appreciate people's time and actually sitting through this, even though it was only very few of us.
No, it's be good because we'll post it on the YouTube channel. That way other people can, learn some of the tips you've shared on the channel and the group, that other future group members that join the user group can watch in our, our library. I think we're up to like 45 videos in our library. So
I've found that I found your link to those the other day. I subscribed to it so that I get updates to it now.
Yeah. I mean, we got the YouTube channel, but we also have the library on our MeWe. So if you click on the video section, you'll see all the videos I've uploaded.
Okay.
But no, this is very informative. It was actually
now the one thing. There's one more thing that I wanted to put up here. Where's my Word docs? Excuse me for 1 minute, with a link to. Let me get this going. I'm sorry to take up your time. It's all right. We're just going to do this the easy way. We're going to scoot it over here. Here, I have put together a very short list. This is the Autodesk Community Voices blog location. Here is my LinkedIn and the MeWe, etc. Now I'm going to take all this and put it into the chat when you will shut. How do I get back to my chat from here, Tony?
There should be a little chat button at the bottom if you're using the desktop app. Looks like a little chat box. If it's not, it'll be up the top on the browser.
I'll do a stop share.
Yeah.
I'll do a stop share for now. There it was. These links reflect the Autodesk community blog, which everybody should check out because we're posting a lot of articles there on many a subject. Here's my link if anybody would really want to check it out. And here's the additional link to the MeWe group. Again, I appreciate people's time and considering listening to this, and anybody that has questions or would like to actually learn more about this, that wants to get better with it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We want to get some more, electrical users and part of our user group asking questions and posting questions and sharing tips and tricks. That's why I figured this would be a great video, because we want to broaden our knowledge beyond just Revit and Civil 3D and AutoCAD.
This is why I put the links in here, especially to my LinkedIn, so that people can contact me through there if that works for you. Yep. So, okay. I mean, again, I will get out of you guys' hair and leave you back to your afternoon. Sorry about the delay.
I'm not seeing the links. Sorry.
It should be. Didn't see. They're in the.
Yeah, I don't see them in the chat on my end anyway.
Here, I'll post the. Here, I'm going to post the.
I'm just going to put them in the.
There.
And then if you want to.
Oh, here I can see it now.
If you want to check out Mark's LinkedIn, there's Mark's LinkedIn here.
I think I'm connected to Mark. I'm not certain, but I think I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, it was really great serve. I learned a lot. Right. So
I learned quite a few things.
Actually, even looked into AutoCAD electrical tools. And
the whole thing that
definitely changed since I used it last.
The idea that people have that you just click a button and it does everything, start to finish, is not like the rest of the AutoCAD softwares. Some of the things are very manually driven, and some of the automated features will stop halfway, as you've noticed.
Yeah.
So again, I will get out of you guys' hair. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it. Mark, have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.
You guys too.
I'll post a video on the on YouTube and also on the MeWe platform.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.